Thanks for joining us for Understanding Real Estate with Realtor Becky Cobb of West Cobb Alliance, part of the ReeceNichols Real Estate Group in Neosho.
Welcome, everybody, to Understanding Real Estate, and we're joined with Becky Cobb today. So, Becky, what can you do to avoid the price cut trap?
Well, here's the deal. When a home sits for a while, too long on the market without any offers, your agent comes and says, how about we do a price reduction? Well, according to Realtor.com, 16.7% of sellers are going that route today. So we're seeing more price drops across the nation. And so that's something to be aware of. The real problem here, even a price cut does not guarantee a sale. In fact, some buyers will see a reduction as a sign that something's wrong with the house when there's nothing that is wrong with the house. That's why data from the National Association of Realtors shows the longer a home sits, the bigger that price cut tends to be to attract buyers. So if you've been on the market over 120 days and you're not getting any showings and you're not getting any offers, they're predicting that you're going to need to drop that price by about 13.8%. But if you're just in that 0 to 14 day bracket, then maybe you're going to drop it by 4.9%. So, here's the deal. We always say this. The longer it sits on the market, the more you're going to have to adjust your price. So trying to price it right when you start out is one of the biggest favors you can do to yourself as a seller. And you have a goal and you want to move on with your life, price it right. It'll get sold.
Good morning, Becky. And so we're talking about the Goldilocks frame of mind. And what is that?
Well, it's a frame of mind. It's a point of view that sellers that are pricing their homes as Goldilocks would, which would be, it's just right, okay? That is going to help you avoid price cuts and a lingering time on the market. In other words, you got to look for the sweet spot. Too high, the buyer's going to disappear. Too low, and they're going to question the value. But right in the middle, the just right spot, that's where the magic happens, and that's where your right agent comes in. So talk with your agent, make sure they're presenting you current comparable pricing, and listen to them. Listing high, watching it sit, it will sell for less later. Pricing it right, creating competition, and putting yourself in a position to win from the start. You're going to sell more quickly, and you're going to be on your way to your new adventure.
Well, for today, Becky, what VA benefits are out there when it comes to a home purchase?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I'm looking at some stats here. It says about 49% of veterans feel that home ownership is currently out of reach, and yet it's very much in reach for veterans. Something that veterans need to know, that they can probably purchase a home with zero down payment if they've got their VA benefits and their eligibility is intact. About 77% don't even realize that private mortgage insurance usually is not required with a VA loan, and 58% don't realize that basic allowance for housing may count as income. So you have some great assets there at your fingertips if you're a veteran, and even if you're active military, to be able to go ahead and purchase a home with little to no money down. So you should talk with a local lender and find out how you can access your veterans benefits.
Good morning, Becky, and we're once again talking about pricing. What would you like people to know about that?
One of the things I think you need to consider as a seller, that the critical time is the first 30 days. That's when your property is going to get the most notices. The advertising on it is going to be fresh. It's going to be popping up on Zillow and Realtor.com and Neosho.homes and every place that you want your listing to pop up, and people are going to be excited about it. And so that first 30 days is really critical. So if you price your property too high and you get no showings, you've lost a lot of momentum. But properly priced property will have multiple showings during this time period, and hopefully at least one perfect offer. So the more showings, that's what we're always anxious about. Bring it on the market, get as many showings as possible. Somebody is going to get excited about that property and bring us an offer. So first 30 days is important. Don't say, I'm going to price it up here really high and then I'll bring it down later. You may not get a chance.
So today, Becky, tell us what we should do to prepare our home for a sale.
Okay, so we've already figured out we're going to have it at the right price. But here's a few other things you can do. Buy a new welcome mat. Make it just so inviting that they're just so excited to walk into that front door. Remove your clutter and depersonalize. It's tough to do. Maybe you need to grab a basket or a big box and just throw all the personal stuff in it and clear those surfaces off, because you want a buyer to envision that this home is their home, so they don't need to see your stuff sitting around. Organize your closets and cabinets. I'm going to tell you, I've seen it happen. Somebody opens up a cabinet and everything is in perfect order. They go, oh, this is the house I want. Doesn't matter. They have to keep it clean themselves. Make every surface shine. Less is more. It really is. And we've got a generation coming up here, baby boomers and Generation Jones, that they don't like stuff. And so get the stuff out, make surfaces clear. If you've had a lot of bold colors, you might want to take those colors down a notch, paint your walls a neutral color, and then eliminate the bad odors. And maybe you need to have somebody come in, a neighbor or a friend or somebody, and say, does it smell like the dog in here? Does it smell like cigarette smoke? What does it smell like? And let's address it, because I'll tell you what, I've seen it happen. You walk in, doesn't smell good, they're walking out real fast. So get your home ready to sell, and it's going to look great, and you're going to be excited when those offers start rolling in.
If you would like to know more about understanding real estate, you may contact Becky Cobb at 417-592-3245 of the West Cobb Alliance, your Realtors for Life. Find out more on the web at neosho.homes.